Hello, car lovers, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we are both here to share information that will make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money, less hassle. And we do that by taking phone calls. We love to get those calls. And that number is 706-863-5800. And that's on Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern. And at that time, you can catch us live on air or iHeart, WGAC 95.1 FM, and watch us live on Facebook at the CNC Auto Show, and, of course, past shows on our YouTube channel anytime. If you or a friend are looking for good, dependable auto repair, then I recommend going to NapaAutoCare.com and just hit that little search box in the top right hand of the box.
Yeah.
And I will just about bet there's going to be several to choose from, if not dozens to choose from.
I agree.
In some areas. And what that's kind of neat is no matter where you're at around the country, let's say you're traveling.
Yep.
And you say, oh, I have a little slight problem. This light come on or it's doing this. I would love to talk to a technician somewhere.
Repair facility. Yeah.
You can do that and find a good repair facility.
One thing I like about it is we use it at the shop too. If
Yes.
somebody's going somewhere, we can let them know where to stop in, or if they have any problems.
I get that a lot of times. I'll have a customer say my daughter is going or my son's going to school in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know someone in Utah? Now, it's very doubtful I'm going to know a shop that's close to that particular person in Utah, even though I have been very fortunate to get to know a lot of shops around the country. But it would be kind of doubtful.
That's right.
But I always do the same thing, and I would do the same if I was out of town. First thing I would do, NapaAutoCare.com, and I would pick a shop that would be right for me in that situation.
Right.
Okay. Today's theme is bad driving habits that can damage your vehicle. And what some of the things that we'll be talking about are different ways that you can drive your car or work with your car that will make it last longer. Because, of course, we know that you can do things like oil changes and tire rotations and all the things,
all the maintenance
items that make it last longer.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that you can do differently as far as driving your car.
Just as your natural habits.
That will make different things on the car just plain last a little bit longer. And, John Ryan, you think we ought to do a tech tip quiz this hour?
Yeah, why not? Let's throw it out there.
I think we should do that, too. Do you want to do it now, or we'll go to the phones and then do it?
Let's read it. That way the callers that are coming in get a chance to answer it.
All right. We didn't do a tech tip quiz last hour, so we actually will have two to choose from.
All right.
So I'm going to make the decision on the one. Let's see. Okay. I'll go with this one right here.
All right.
Okay. We do have the tech tip quiz, and of course the prize packaging will include, but not limited to, the I answered the tech tip quiz golf shirt. Here we go. Kevin went off to college. He was also working and having lots of fun with his friends. Last week at 7 a.m., Kevin was driving to school and went off the road at over 74 miles per hour, and he hit a tree. Very sad. Being buckled up saved his life, though, but he was knocked unconscious. Mr. Colombo was the investigating officer. Mr. Colombo was checking Kevin's wallet to identify him and found something that let him know that Johnny had not slept but 3 hours in the last 2 days. What did Colombo find in Kevin's wallet?
Wow.
Okay, and if someone knows the answer to that, it will be huge for them. Be life-changing event. You ready to go to the calls?
Yep, let's go over to Ron.
Okay. Hey, Ron, welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Good morning, fellas. This is just a question on the condition of the roads that we have today. I just heard where South Carolina had passed that 2 cents, the road improvement bill that they had in their House, and it was overrode by the Assembly, and they got it into effect. 2 cents. Now, if I remember their figures correctly on the news the other night, they said by this year they were going to impose the 2 cent per gallon tax, and it would produce $6 billion for the first year. It sounds phenomenal to me, but they said that they needed $5.4, $5.6 million to get things going. And this is going to be an increase for the next 10 years to to redo their roads and get them back into good shape.
Mm-hmm.
That just to me is incredible. That 2 cents,
Can make
pennies,
$6 million.
make $6 billion. That completely blew my mind. I was just thinking, if Georgia wanted to be the progressive state that it wants to be, and I know I'll be hissed at for saying this, but my God, increase the tax now while the gas is fairly reasonable to 10 cents a gallon, and let's get this work done.
Done
There's
and over
roads
with.
around here. Oh, there's roads around here, John Ryan, that just you would think you were in a third world country. Down on Dublin Bottom Road, White Oak Road, they're just getting, as my aunt used to say, wusser and wusser.
Yeah, and Ron, I think that's an issue that pretty much every state goes through, trying to make the right decision. How high do you go with the gas tax? Because one of the things that a lot of industries and a lot of businesses look at when they're moving into a particular state is they weigh a lot of things, like what is fuel, what of course the cost of living in a particular area. And especially something like a trucking industry or something like that, many of them would look very closely at things like that. So they have to weigh it out.
They're also going to be looking at the infrastructure. And if you got a third world nation type infrastructure, you ain't got no prayer of any industry coming into your state. So I understand it's a trade-off.
It is a trade-off. And, of course, to me, I agree with you as far as if someone if the roads are in poor condition and there is not enough money there to be able to take care of that, I agree with what you're saying, that the money should be made available.
Right.
But I want to be very careful not to just throw money at something. If the money that's already being spent is being well spent, and I don't know the numbers that you're talking about, how they're adding up or anything like that, because I'm not familiar with exactly the amount that it would make. But I do know that I want the dollars spent well before you go up even 1 penny.
That's what I've
anything.
always wondered. I mean, no doubt we've been around enough to hear all these taxes and all that kind of stuff for roads and bridges, but unless it's just the roads I happen to drive on, they never are improved.
Yeah. So
Right.
we need to
And
make
look-
sure that what we're spending is spent correctly, number one thing.
Oh, well, that's only as good as our politicians, Aaron. And just to leave you with this, with that guy that called in looking for the old flathead,
Uh-huh.
an old trick that I used to do years ago when I would do some scrounging, I remember back in the 70s and 80s when 429s were the hot ticket. And you had race teams and every other car junkie coming around,
Snatching
going
them up.
to every. Oh, they were snatched. They were going to every. John Ryan, they were researching in these little small towns that had a certain population where the old junkyards were.
Yeah. And where
you'd
the
be
cars were sold.
surprised.
Well,
Oh yeah, they would. You'd be surprised how many, in say like Louisville and all these Statesboro, all these little bitty towns,
Right.
Waynesboro, how they had these old forgotten junkyards that's overgrown.
Yeah.
I'd go through these little towns when I used to scrounge for them, and I'd ask people where the old junkyards were. And usually the guy would let you go in there and get what you want for nothing. Just get it out of there.
yeah, something's changed a lot since then, Ron, and then I'll mention that we're going to a break. But the big thing that has changed since then is things like Craigslist and computers. These salvage yards that used to almost give stuff away, now they're able to look on the computer and they say, oh, this part new would sell for $300. So
let's make
used,
ours
I'm gonna sell it for
$299.
this, and then they can put it on something like Craigslist and boom, sell stuff like that very quickly. It's time to take a real quick break. When we return, we'll be going to Russell and Ben and some others and answering a lot of automotive questions. We'll be right back just after this. We are back with you on the CNC Auto Show. John Ryan, where we're going?
We're going straight to Russell.
I think that's a great idea. And hello, Russell. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. Hey, what day of the week was that crash for your Tech Tick quiz?
Okay, the day of the week. You know, I was trying to remember.
Sounds like you were up just as long as he was.
I would say that was on a Tuesday. Oh, hold on. You tried to slide one by on us there, Russell. Hold on one second. Let us set you up. John Ryan, that was a ploy for him to try to slide that in on us without having to get on stage. Okay, we're ready.
Well, because I didn't hear you say a date. If it was the weekend, if it was closer to Friday, I was thinking they found a pay stub showing his hours that he worked, start date and end date is what they found in his wallet.
Oh, he had worked a lot of hours in and wasn't able to get any sleep. That's not a bad idea, a bad guess, but
Right.
that's not it, dear Russell. We do appreciate you trying, though.
All right.
Go get some sleep.
All right, where are we going?
All right, let's try Ben.
Hello, Ben. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Just right.
I'm a tech quiz, and it's similar to the last one.
Hold on one second.
All right.
Ben, you are up and running. We're ready for you.
All right. So he found the gas receipts from dates and locations and times from all across the country because he just drove to visit his girlfriend and drove all the way back, and he didn't get any sleep.
Wow. So all of those receipts were in the wallet, and he didn't get any sleep because he had been.
Sound like something Ben did.
Yeah, he had.
I don't know. I'll plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah. So he had a girlfriend that was a little ways off. Ben, that just is not it. That's not a bad try, though.
right.
We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate the call. Okay.
Why don't you read the question one more time, and then we'll go to Eddie.
Do you really think we should?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do then.
Well, now it's going to take you 10 minutes.
No, it will not. Kevin went off to college. He was also working and having lots of fun with his friends. Last week at 7 a.m., Kevin was driving to school and went off the road at over 74 miles per hour and hit a tree. Very sad situation. Being buckled up saved his life. He was knocked unconscious. Mr. Colombo was the investigating officer. Mr. Colombo was checking Kevin's wallet to identify him and found something that let him know that Johnny had not slept but 3 hours in 2 days. What did Colombo find in Kevin's wallet?
All right, now let's go to Eddie.
I'm ready. Hello, Eddie, and welcome to the show.
Hello, Aaron. I don't have a service-related question, and I don't even know if you can answer this or not.
We're going to try.
You know, in 2006, they redesigned the Impala to what it, was up until 2014 when they come out with a new, totally redesigned. Mm-hmm. Am I correct on that?
I believe that is correct. Sounds correct to your arrows.
I think you are correct.
But I see in the paper where there's 2015, 2016 Impalas, at least they're showing the picture of the old Impala. Mm-hmm. Are they just putting a picture up there just to demonstrate something, or are they still making that old design?
Now,
Maybe for rental or something like that.
Now, the design has changed, I believe, in 15. So there is still an Impala, if I'm not mistaken, because we were actually talking about that the other day, how nice it looks. I mean, it looks like a high-end vehicle. Mm-hmm. So I want to say that evidently they must be putting the wrong picture up.
Okay. Well, I keep, and it's not just one instance. I see several of them. There's one in the paper today that says 2015.
Let's check with our GM expert over here. You said that's the Impala.
It shows a picture of the 06 version, up through the years.
Okay.
But I've got a 2011, and it looks just like the 2006.
Eddie, we have a GM expert over here. Let's see what he's got to say.
Okay, thanks.
Eddie, with those Impalas, they made a special fleet model on those. They call it the Impala Limited. And for the 15 and 16 model years, they did have that old body style still in production.
Huh, how about that?
All right.
Well, good deal.
That's just what I was getting ready to say, Eddie.
Yep, me too. Yeah, we must have lost him.
Eddie. Okay, yeah, we lost Eddie. But yes, very good answer.
All right.
So now that worked out very well. Okay, the number to call, 706-863-5800. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you give us a call. And some of the things that you can do to make your car last a lot longer has to do with your taking off and slowing down and braking.
Right.
And just taking off at a normal speed. A lot of the vehicles now have the little indicators that tell when you're when you're accelerating too fast and using a lot more fuel than they should. A lot of them will stay in the green if you take off easy, and they'll stay red if you take off a little harder. I think that's kind of neat. It'd almost be kind of neat also if they would put one down if you're braking too hard.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would kind of be good. But just in general, that saves a huge amount of gas. And of course, when you're not accelerating real fast and then braking real fast and accelerating real fast, you're saving a lot of wear and tear on your brakes, making them last a lot longer, and of course using a lot less gas when you do that also.
Right.
So just driving and not accelerating real hard is a really good thing. Of course, another thing we always mention has to do with your tires. Don't drive on underinflated tires. Keep the tire pressure at what it should be, and check it from time to time. Now, of course, the other good thing on that part is so many vehicles now, it's so easy to check the tire pressure. You can pretty much
that is one thing that I like about the tire pressure monitoring system, the one that actually displays the tire pressure.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily wild about the light, just simply because it's kind of vague, I guess you would say.
If something happens, and you have to go through a lot of you have to go through some tests to find out exactly
which
why
one it is
on.
and everything. Yeah, so.
Unless you walk back there and the tire's almost flat, then of course it's not a big deal. You say, well, there's probably why it's on.
Okay.
But yeah, I love the ones that you can just look at the dash and say this tire has 36, this has 37.
Right.
That one has 35, and you're able to tell your exact tire pressure very easily. So that's always a real good thing. John Ryan, it's hard to believe, but it's already time to take another break. And we will take the break, and then when we return, we'll talk about more driving habits that can make your car last longer, and we'll be answering more automotive questions, all that, and more on the CNC Auto Show as soon as we return. And welcome back to the CNC Auto Show. Some other things that you can do that will make your car last longer is not to follow other cars too closely.
Oh, yeah.
Because many times if that car in front of you decides to give you a brake check,
Courtesy.
as John Ryan said,
courtesy,
then you may make some parts on the front of your car not last as long.
There you go.
And some parts on the back of the other person's car not last as long. So be very careful. Have a good, safe following distance when you go, and that will make parts of your car last much longer.
Right.
Are we ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go over to Calvin.
Hello, Calvin, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
How you doing?
I am doing very well. And what can we help you with?
I want to drive the deck.
You called the right place. Well, you know the routine. We have to put you on stage first.
No worries.
Okay. Do you need for me to ask the question again, or you already remember everything?
I remember it.
Okay.
It's just shot in the dark.
All right.
You said he found something in his wallet.
He did.
In Colombo, he's a college student, so he was basically probably doing a sleep study on the reactions of people with no sleep.
Oh.
And he was, hauling butt to get where he needed to go.
Also, he was part of a test that they were running, and he was in the program of trying to go without sleep for a period of time. That don't sound like a very good program for the school to have. I don't think that would work very well. But
right.
Calvin, you know what that means, of course.
I got the big L.
Brace yourself, Calvin. Here it comes. Oh.
I get it twice, huh?
You're okay?
Oh, I'm fine.
Wow. You know, a lot of people can't talk for a few minutes.
Yeah, we normally hear it click.
Yeah.
Good shot, Calvin.
Calvin,
Oh,
we
man,
sure
y'all take care.
appreciate the shot at it there.
I enjoy your show, man. Thank you.
Well, we enjoy you listening, and thank you. Okay, another thing that can make your car last longer, and this one also gets you better gas mileage too.
Yeah.
Saves your suspension, does a lot of different things. Is don't let the junk pile up in the car.
I thought you were going to say lose weight.
Yeah. That bag of cement that you picked up that
Yeah.
you were planning on
Month
putting
ago.
in the yard that's still back there, go ahead and get it out. And we all know you're not going to get to play golf for another 2 weeks. So go ahead and take
the
the golf
clubs out.
clubs out for a little bit. And then when it's time to go, put them back in there because you don't want them moving around a lot. And
That's what you were saying that you like about your Miata. You don't have the chance to put that kind of stuff in there.
But exactly. My little Miata, it's got a little small spare tire and a lug wrench back there that's all built, and that's it. That's
My
all that's-
motorcycle's the same
Oh, and
way.
I keep a hat and a pair of sunglasses. So as I'm going down the road, I don't get
no
blown.
sunscreen.
No sunscreen. But, a lot of people, I really think that I'm going to make an exception to leaving things in a car.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it makes a lot of people feel really good to have their golf clubs.
Yeah.
Even though they know they're not going to be able to play anytime soon.
Right.
Just having them there makes them feel better.
That's right.
And I guess in their mind they think that any minute now the
Something could turn up.
Yeah, someone at work's going to walk into the office and say, "Listen, Bill, you've everything's going good. Why don't you go ahead and go play golf?"
That's normally your last day, isn't it?
So
Go play golf for forever.
Yeah, we'll make the exception for golf clubs.
All
People
right.
can just leave them in there just in case
That's
something
right.
comes up and you need to use your golf clubs. Okay, the number to call 706-863-5800. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, just give us a call and we will answer those automotive questions. And also, if you have an answer to our Tech Tip quiz, you just give us a call also. Okay, and some of the things that can help you as far as driving habits, that's a very good thing to do, is just plan ahead when you're driving.
Right.
If you see a stop sign a long way off, and from traditionally driving that same route, that light normally turns green before you get to it. You may just slow down just a little bit and kind of keep your speed going, and then boom, go ahead and breeze right on through that light. That is a fantastic feeling when you make a lot of traffic lights all at the same time. It just lets you know that's your day. And so doing that, but just plan ahead. If you see cars stopped on ahead, don't wait until you get right up on them and start
Jump on the
stopping.
brakes,
Go ahead and start letting off the gas and coast on down so you don't have to slam on brakes.
All right, you ready to go to the calls?
I am ready to go to the calls.
All right, let's go to Timothy.
Hello, Timothy, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello there.
Hey, I've got an interesting one that's driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
03 Chevy Tahoe. Got about 170,000 miles on it. Recently, it has had developed a interesting glitch. When it's cold or hasn't been driven for a couple of days, the power steering does not like to turn to the right. No problem turning to the left, but does not want to turn to the right. Am I looking at rebuilding the steering box, the power steering pump?
Timothy, that's a great question. It's pretty funny you mentioned that. We've had quite a few of those here recently, and they'll do exactly that. Your first inclination is the pump, like it's not creating enough pressure, but what throws that off is the fact that it'll turn left or right, one way or the other, it'll turn fine.
Yeah, that was what drove me crazy.
Throws you off.
It works
Yeah.
fine because it's turning left.
Right, and just tell you what a technician would do. Normally they'd install a pressure gauge in between the lines, see what the pump's creating and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it, you can just rule out with the process of
And that's
elimination.
a pain to put
Oh,
on
it
there.
is. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is, of course, like you mentioned, it only go one way. Well, there's a little spool valve inside the gearbox that controls the fluid flow. And what happens a lot of times, that valve will stick in the one direction or not, whichever direction it won't turn. Sometimes they won't turn left, sometimes they won't turn right. And we have replaced a lot of gearboxes for that same thing. But the crazy part is, some of those vehicles had gearboxes, some of them had rack and pinions. The rack and pinions do the exact same thing. So it just depends on what steering design you have. Most of those Tahoes,
Yeah,
especially
steering box.
most of those, had the steering box, and it was a very common issue. So,
And the price of those have come down a good bit, though.
Or am I better off changing the box out?
what's that? Sorry.
Is it something that can be flushed out, or is that better off just chasing
No,
the
no
box
doubt it
out?
can, but I'll be honest with you. The flush, normally when it gets to that point, there is no going backwards, just simply because it's like a transmission, being a hydraulic fluid. Once the damage is done, if that spool valve has a little scar on it or a nick or some contamination, it's very, very difficult to get out. No doubt we tried that, when these vehicles started having those problems. Some we'd have okay success with, but the more and more we did it, just found out that it's not very good service to do.
Now, as far as flushing out the power steering pump, what kind of chemical is used on that?
Well, the chemical we choose to use is a BG product. It has a quick clean chemical conditioner or chemical cleaner that we install. And of course, if the system's operating, normally you would go drive it, say about 5 to 10 miles, so that chemical works in there and cleans everything. And then you bring it back to the shop, and there's actually a fluid exchange machine that goes in the reservoir and basically removes the fluid and fills it at the same time. And there's a process where you turn the wheels back and forth, you center them up, kind of equally, because that fluid, I believe it's about a half-gallon fluid that you flush it out with. So it's a great service. Of course, the reason it's that much is because you only have one reservoir to remove the fluid from, so it takes a process of letting it all circulate in there.
Okay. There's not a half a gallon of fluid in the whole system.
That's correct. Yeah, I would guess maybe
okay.
2 quarts tops. But it takes that much fluid to, of course, get it to cycle through.
Okay. All right. Well, bummer.
Yeah, the
Some more money
gearbox.
on
Of course,
those
one thing too,
gearboxes.
being that you're working on that truck, definitely check the idler arm and the pitman arm. You have to take the pitman arm off anyway, so it's a good idea to replace. And just a tip: there's a 3-groove pitman arm and a 4-groove pitman arm. It doesn't really matter if you're buying a gearbox and a pitman arm, because of course you can buy the corresponding one. But if for some reason you don't replace the pitman arm, you're going to need to know which spline count you have.
And you will need
Okay.
a puller if you replace
sure.
the pitman arm.
Now that I've got, so I'm
Okay.
good with that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. Hope that answers your question.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. I'll mention that another thing that you can do on vehicles that will save wear and tear. Now, this is mostly on a manual transmission. If you pull up to the traffic light and you have your clutch in, don't just keep letting off on the clutch
Yeah,
and
don't
trying to
use it
move
as
it
a
forward.
stall.
If the car's trying to roll one way or the other, go ahead and put it in neutral and just hold your foot on the brake. And then when the light turns green, then go ahead and push in the clutch, put it in gear, and take off. So either have the clutch all the way in, all the way out, but
Best thing is your foot not on the pedal.
yeah, your foot sitting there moving back and forth is what causes a lot of extra wear and tear. It's time to take another break. We will do that, and when we return, we'll have more tips on driving habits that'll make your car last longer, and we'll be answering more automotive questions. All that and more with the CNC Automotive Show as soon as we return. Welcome back to the CNC Auto Show. We got a lot of phone calls mentioning that they could not hear our GM expert discuss about.
Then
the
we realized
deal
we had to have
with the
one.
Impala. Dominique, one of the show producers, actually video producer, he was the one that knew the answer to that. So there's a chance that he wasn't turned up high enough. But what it amounts to is he mentioned that the fleet cars were produced later in the year in conjunction with the new body style.
Yeah.
And that made it to where sometimes when they're advertising some of these vehicles, the older looking body style was there because
Right.
it was still being produced along with the new one. So
That's right.
that was the answer to that.
That cleared that up.
It did. Are
All right.
we ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go to Frank.
Frank,
Yes,
welcome to the show, and what can we help you with?
I've got a 2004 Grand Marquis without suspension on it, and the warning light come on says check out suspension. Well, I couldn't find anybody to do that, so I thought I'd call you and find out. It's gone all the way down now. It looks like I got about half 10 or 12 cases of shine in the back end of it. It's all the way down.
You're going to get pulled over, and they're going to think you're hauling some moonshine.
Yeah, if you had all that in the back, you wouldn't have to worry about getting it fixed. You'd be locked up.
Well, you can use that because the cars are designed to run on ethanol now. You can
Yeah, just pipe it in
and
there.
you'd be fine. Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem.
Frank, you're exactly right. That vehicle does have 2 air shocks in the back and, of course, a compressor and a load sensor that determines how high the vehicle is. The most common thing that we see on those is one of the airbags develops a very small leak, and you don't really notice this over a period of time. That compressor runs 24/7. It just runs all the time when the vehicle is cranked up. And then that leak gets to the point to where it gets a little worse or the compressor gets weak, and then it can't pump those shocks up. The reason the light is on is because it's, of course, the load sensor is seeing one height and one height only. So that's the reason the light comes on. Now, there also is a switch in the trunk. There's no chance that switch got, depressed when you were loading that Shine up or anything, was there?
No, I've got that checked out.
Okay.
I don't think it's a switch there.
Right.
The car's got 257,000 miles on it.
Right.
Frank, one thing that I would recommend, there's 2 routes you could go. You could go have some diagnostic tests run on the car, which cost you money. If it is the shocks, you could pay money to have those air shocks replaced. Then after that, they're probably going to tell you that the compressor's burned out because of this. And next thing you know, you done spent a huge amount of money. The next thing you can do is you can have passive shocks installed on the vehicle. That is a company that I remember when they were a little small company, and different people would build these things. But the one that we
Just
get
about
ours
build 'em when
from
you
was
order
just
'em.
a little small company, and now they've grown huge. And what it is a method where the dynamics of the car and all of the information of the car is built into making a standard assembly that will hold the car at the right height and give you a good ride at the same time, but not have air ride.
Right.
On
Converts
there.
it to coil spring.
We have done a lot of those and put the passive strut system or shock system on there. And I don't think we've had a complaint with it yet.
If
so
not,
far.
yeah, a lot of them have actually said it rides better, which, of course, air is supposed to ride better. But a lot of these coil spring kits that we've put on, they've actually have had comments saying that it rides better.
So my answer would be to go ahead and forget about the air suspension and just have a passive shock assembly put on the vehicle. And, of course, we do that. A lot of Napa Auto Care Centers do that. Napa has a system like that. So that would be the route I would recommend.
It's very expensive, though, isn't it?
It is.
Well, to repair, going back with the factory, the air struts, it is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
The passive kit, the coil spring kit that Aaron's talking about is probably roughly half of that.
Yeah, it's less money. Now, I'm going to just throw a wild number out in the $600 range. But when you start messing with your air ride suspension, you could double that very easily.
Yeah, easy, 1,200.
Mm-hmm. But the good part is passive struts, you do it, you can forget about it. It's done. You don't have to worry about that system anymore.
Okay, well, I go past your place about 2 or 3 times a week down on
Yeah, we've
right
seen you. The
road.
bumper was dragging.
That was the sparks was going out.
Well, Frank,
Well,
we
we
appreciate the call.
We would love to, Frank.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you. You have a great day.
All right.
Okay, the number to call is 706-863-5800. And who are we talking to, John Ryan?
Well, let's go to Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Enjoy your show.
Well, thank you very much for calling.
I don't have a tech question, but I've got an observation. I bought my daughter a Jeep a couple of years ago, a new Jeep, and it would idle at 12 miles an hour. So I opened the hood and got my screwdriver to set the idle down. Well, guess what? You can't
You can't do that.
Now, I'm 76 years old, and I can remember rebuilding a 265 Chevy. In fact, the firing order was 1843652.
He got a tattoo of it.
I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning, but I can remember, and the valves were 12 and 18. But anyway, we had 2 parts places in Atlanta, Genuine Parts and Napa. Now, and you could, you probably hadn't got anybody at your shop knows what points and condensers are.
Very
That's
few.
true. Yeah.
And now we got a parts place, more parts places than we have fingernail nail places. And I'm not sure what you can do to your car, buying and putting a battery in it and tires on it. What can you do on these new cars?
Bruce, some of even the batteries have a battery maintenance reminder as far as having, when it's been replaced and everything.
Yeah. But there are some things that people that enjoy working on their cars, on some cars, not all. Sometimes people still enjoy replacing their spark plugs.
Right.
Sometimes people enjoy changing their oil.
Cabin air filter,
But as a general rule, actually, most of those things, you can actually go have them done by the time you buy the equipment and do the other things. You can just about have them done about as cheaply as you can do it yourself. But I also realize that a lot of people just enjoy working on their own car, just like people enjoy gardening and other things. There's a lot of brake work that some people do, but there's different skill levels involved for what you do.
Right.
So, of course, when we're doing the show, we never know if someone has a good size toolbox with a lot of different things to work with, or if they just got a hammer and a pair of pliers and
like Aaron's.
and they're just trying
But Bruce is right. When he pulled his flathead out to adjust the idle, he'd be lucky to find even a flathead screw on the car these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I stood there and looked at that engine for about 10 minutes, and I said, take it over to Milton Rube, and I hadn't got a clue.
Yeah.
and I thought you worked on cars. I said, I rebuilt a 265 Chevrolet, and the mailman kept coming by every day looking at the hole in there, wondering. He said, that thing will never run again. And when it was gone the next day, he said, they tow it off? I said, no, it started. and he was amazed. But now, I mean, with the new cars and first of all, you can't even see the engine for all the plastic air cleaner and whatever all that is in there. But yes, I would enjoy working on one, but I sure couldn't, wouldn't attempt it today.
Well, you can still always work on a lawnmower.
And Bruce, I will say I have a huge amount of respect for the technicians that work on these cars myself, for seeing what they do, the constant technology that they stay on top of, training and all of the other things they do, and then on top of that, be a contortionist to be able to get to some of the things. So I agree.
Well, I was born 25 years too early or 25 years too late, because I think that I just mastered a garage door opener a while back, and so I'm
You're doing good. Well, appreciate it, Bruce.
We do appreciate the call very much. Time clock's on the E. We are about out of time. And I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney. Our show producers are Zach Llewellyn, Bo Roberts, Dominic Frito, and Sandy Klein. And we would all like to say thank you for riding with us on the CNC Auto Show.